And welcome to Lexsynergy's December webinar. My name is Marina Tigner, and I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager at Lexsynergy. We are pleased you're able to join us for today's call, and we hope you find this information useful. On this webinar, we will be focusing on internationalized domain names, or for short, IDNs. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll review a basic guide to understanding IDNs, the impact of China on the domain name industry, and how trademark owners can create an effective strategy to protect their brands in these sometimes complex markets. We will leave some time at the end of the call for questions and answers, so if you do have a question, please send those through using the Q&A function on the WebEx. I would now like to introduce the presenters for today's webinar. First, we have Daniel Greenberg. Daniel is the CEO and founder of Lexsynergy. He is also an intellectual property attorney with over 15 years of experience in trademarks, copyright, domain names, and brand enforcement online. Daniel co-authored a cyber law textbook and has been published in the Journal of Intellectual Property Law and Practice. We are also very pleased to have Alex Lee as a guest presenter today. Alex is a 15-year veteran of the domain name and online brand protection industries. He has spent the last 12 years working in China, starting with the .cn Registry, China's country code domain extension, then founded and operated one of China's leading domain service providers, NameRich.cn. Considered an expert in China's online and domain industries, he has actively participated in the development of China's future domain name usage, including the acceptance of IDNs into ICANN's new GTLD program. Today, he is a co-founder and GM International for the Hui Global Shangbiao GTLD Registry. With that, I'll turn it over to Daniel to begin the presentation.
Great. Thank you, Marina. Thank you for that introduction, and also welcome to Alex, who's joining us for the first time as a co-panelist for this presentation. I want to start off by going through the agenda, what we'll cover in this webinar. This webinar is in a PDF format, and you'll see for good reason. The reason being is because of the IDN characters. Sometimes PowerPoint does not pick them up, and that's obviously an issue in itself and something that we'll address during this webinar, how to deal with domain names that use foreign characters or non-Latin script characters. So we'll first start off with the relationship of domain names and trademarks, just how they are connected. The new GTLD overview, where we are at the moment with this new GTLD program, IDN overview and impact on China, a strategy, and then Alex will discuss the .trademark, the Chinese version of that, and then .com, specifically the Japanese version of .com, and then we'll have some time for questions and answers. So I'll move straight into it. First of all, domain names and trademarks. We consider domain names to be an online trademark that should be protected and managed in the same way that you'd manage a trademark. So there's a lot of care and diligence involved in that, using one provider like you would use one law firm to manage your trademarks. The same would apply for domain names. And this is relevant so that when your domain name, if your domain name is abused, it's easy to identify these infringements, and it's quicker for you to act on them. So that's what Lexsynergy basically does, is we protect your domain names, we manage them from a centralized point, and assist you in the cases of infringement. So it's bringing your domain names all in line in one place. We also discuss strategy and how to go about protecting your trademark within different regions, within different languages. The new GTLD program, it's important to bring that into context, is that we're all aware of the traditional TLDs that are out there, so com, org, net, biz, info. What happened a couple of years ago, I think it's around about 2 years ago, new GTLDs launched. So far, about 750 have launched. So now it's possible to register domain names like .law, .shabaka, which is an Arabic domain name, .fashion, .sax, .business. So there's a whole bunch that have recently launched that has opened up the namespace, allowing people to register short domain names, maybe 2 to 3 character domain names, and to obtain a domain name that matches their business and not have to use a long-winded domain name, because as we know, .com is running out of space. There are not many available domain names there, so these alternatives do provide another avenue to secure your domain name. Also for trademark owners, it has created a lot of issues in how do you go about protecting your brand in that particular namespace and within all these TLDs. And that's where we are, where we assist clients. And specifically today, we'll deal with the IDNs. So briefly, what is an IDN, an Internationalized Domain Name? These are domain names that are not written with the 26 letters of the Latin alphabet. So that's Chinese, Arabic, Hebrew, Cyrillic. So IDNs are one of the core missions of the new GTLD program, in that it's giving effect to non-English speakers to promote their particular brands, their ideas in their own native language. So it's no longer required to register abc.com or a Latin script. You can do it in your own language, and I think that's very important for the internet, as well as brand owners. You know, you'll see in subsequent slides, which I will go to now. Let me just drop down there. That the number of users is increasing, and it's very important that you take cognizance of people that use other languages or speak other languages. So as it says in this particular slide, the number of internet users worldwide has gone up from 413 million in 2000 to an expected 5 billion in 2020, and most of those will be non-English speakers. We've just inserted a quote there from Rod Beckstrom, the former CEO. So he believes that there will be a change in the landscape as different and more diverse people start using the internet. So the internet is not just an English medium as we are used to over the past couple of years. So the majority of IDN extensions, just to give you an overview of this, are Chinese, Japanese, Russian, which is Cyrillic, Arabic, Hebrew, and Hindi. So a few have already launched and a few are in the pipeline. The majority that we've dealt with have been Chinese. And IDNs create a lot of opportunities in that your local target market, say it's in China, can use and identify a particular domain name to identify your business. So there are a lot of opportunities out there, but also potential threats. And it's also very important that you need to be proactive with registrations, but also then deal with the issues that crop up. And we often find clients saying, you know, well, we don't really know what our mark is in Chinese, or we don't really understand how to go about protecting it. And what they tend to do is not do anything. And that's not a solution. Just because a language isn't understandable to yourselves, or it does seem foreign, is no excuse not to secure your particular brand in that region. In fact, because you don't understand it, maybe that is a justification to go forward and make sure that you are adequately protected to prevent some sort of abuse from happening. So as you can see there, we say that approximately only 10% of the world's population speaks English. Although it's the medium for most business communications, the local markets tend to speak their own language, so there's huge potential there. So that's quite, IDNs are quite important to focus on, and like it says, Chinese alone is the most widely spoken language, so it's very important to take cognizance of that, which Alex will get into detail later on. Obviously, speaking about Chinese language domain names, it's important to look at China itself. I'll focus on the graphic there. As you can see, in 2000, the top 3 countries by percentage of total global internet users. If you look at the US, it was at 30%, and China didn't even rank on that particular graph. Now you look and you see China's at 22%, and the US has shrunk to 10%, with India at 8%. And I assume there are other foreign languages that make up the rest, which shows that the majority is non-English speaking users. So as an IDN strategy and going forward, it's very important to file your trademark in the relevant jurisdictions or in the foreign jurisdictions in the local language, if you can find a translation for that. Also, obviously, in the original language and how the mark appears internationally, that's also very important. it's also important to make sure that you are translating your mark correctly, which I'm sure Alex will touch on in his section. Then you need to identify IDNs that are specific to your market. So it doesn't mean go crazy and register, variations and different versions of your particular mark, but rather identify what TLDs are very important. So how does that TLD translate in relation to your business? Say it means, health in Chinese. Maybe that's not relevant to you, so rather go for what .com means in Chinese. Then if you are going to participate and register the domain names, register them during the sunrise. That's the trademark priority period. That is a priority period reserved for trademark owners to secure a domain name that matches their particular brand. So that's very important because then you one up in that you have secured your brand before it's released to the general public. Register both English and IDN versions so that if they do support it. So for instance, there's .Moscow and .Mokba, the one obviously in Cyrillic and the one in English. So you can secure your English domain name, say it's Lexsynergy.Moscow, but then you'd have to use the Cyrillic version to register .Mokba. So it's important to get both of those. And there also are variations in the various Chinese IDNs. And translations, as I said, can be tricky. So you must try and find the most appropriate and get a suitable qualifying personal company to help you with those translations and not simply use Google Translate because sometimes the translations aren't accurate enough. So having said that, I would like to hand it over to Alex, who will discuss .trademark in Chinese and run you through in more detail about Chinese IDNs. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Lexsynergy, for having me on the call today. It's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm going to start off with a very short Chinese lesson. Our domain extension is pronounced Shangbiao, which means trademark, and is written in the simplified Chinese form used by the majority of Chinese speakers, as opposed to the traditional Chinese form, which is used in Hong Kong and Taiwan. I've found a good way of remembering the pronunciation, which may be helpful to you as well. The Shang in Shangbiao is similar to the Shang in Shanghai. And Biao you can remember by thinking about being stung by a bee and saying ow. So Biao. Together again, it's pronounced Shangbiao. For the non-Chinese speaking audience's benefit, for the remainder of this presentation, I will use the English translation of .Shangbiao, which is .trademark. .trademark is the first ever and only domain extension to explicitly express trademark owners' legally protected marks and rights online. This is not only true among the new top-level domain extensions, but also among the legacy GTLD extensions of .com, .net, and .org, etc., as well as among the country code extensions. Some of the participants in today's webinar may be familiar with the .tm extension, which has been marketed as a trademark domain, which is actually just a rebranding of a country code extension for the country of Turkmenistan, and which has no actual protection attributes to it. Our company, we are first and foremost an intellectual property rights solutions company. And now, through the benefit and use of a unique Chinese IDN domain extension, are focused on helping businesses to protect and promote their trademarks within the immense Chinese-speaking population. For close to a decade, our business has been helping tens of thousands of businesses to register trademarks and protect their brands in China. We have since brought this experience together with deep expertise in the online and domain space to provide real solutions to IP protection and promotion in China, which Daniel has already shared is the world's largest online population and e-commerce market in the world. The most unique and valuable attributes to .trademark lies within its comprehensive and robust registration policies, that were co-developed by an international team of trademarks specialists. At the core of these policies is a requirement that each and every domain registration must be accompanied by a valid trademark registration or trademark application. There are absolutely no exceptions to these policies, and we strictly enforce them through a manual verification process during the domain registration process. What this means is that .trademark is an essentially cyber squatter-free namespace, a clean, safe, and trustworthy online environment comprised of only legitimate trademark owners interact with the Chinese market. Now, one critical point I'd like to highlight is that a business does not need to have a Chinese name or a trademark in China to be able to register .trademark domains. It only needs to submit proof of a registered trademark or trademark application from any jurisdiction listed under the Madrid Protocol. Now, another important attribute of .trademark domains is that in January 2015, it became one of the first new GTLDs approved by the Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, which has regulatory oversight of the telecommunications and internet industries. Now, this may not seem important to foreign businesses, but its significance is quite large, as it ultimately dictates which GTLDs are allowed to be sold, hosted, and used within China. .trademark was one of the first 4 new GTLDs to obtain such approval to operate in China. And of course, .trademark is an ICANN delegated GTLD with rights to operate globally and was one of the first Chinese IDNs in history to be delegated to the global root domain servers. We go to the next slide, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to share some of the primary reasons why it's important for brand owners to register .trademark domains for their marks. And I emphasize marks, plural, as it's important to not fall in the trap of only registering a domain for the so-called main brand while leaving others by the side. First, Chinese consumers are extremely brand hungry and brand conscious, especially with regards to foreign brands because they represent status, quality, and safety. Therefore, registering .trademark domains for your brand is more than just protection against IP infringements. It's also a usable and effective promotional tool in a hyper-consumer-driven Chinese market. Also, in spite of the fact that most Chinese don't have advanced English proficiency, they are able to recognize English language brands visually, and they very much do understand that trademarks represent confidence, quality, and security. However, arguably, the majority of Chinese, despite understanding the premise of a trademark, actually do not recognize that the R in a circle, or TM, means trademark. The .trademark domain essentially is like an R in a circle on your brand because it literally spells it out in, and excuse the joke here, plain Chinese. No other domain extensions, let alone Chinese domain extensions, can express this. Another very important reason is that counterfeiting, phishing, and other malicious online activities and IP infringements are unfortunately a reality in such a fast-growing, evolving internet landscape such as China's. .trademark domains provide consumers with a badge of trust on the doorways to businesses. Although online criminal activities and IP infringements can't be defeated across all domain extensions, we've approached the development of the .trademark domain extension with the premise of accepting full responsibility for and dedication towards protecting trademark owners' rights. Many of the attendees today may have paid close attention to the various rights protection mechanisms in our industry that have been passively implemented simply to appease trademark owners, typically with little success. We, in contrast, based our entire mission, our entire business model on exclusively serving trademark owners' interests. Now, the last major value of registering a .trademark domain that I'd like to highlight stems from the fact that China is what's called a first-to-file country, with over 2 million new trademark applications per year and a 15% increase year on year. First-to-file doctrine grants a theoretically exclusive right of trademark use to the registrant who applies first, and provides the registrant with a high degree of legal protection for its exclusive use in China. Now, the outcomes of two high-profile cases involving Apple Computer and Tesla Motors, where failing to proactively address their trademarking strategies in China, provide a sobering call to action. Each company ended up paying millions of dollars to acquire their trademarks as well as relevant domain names. While the .trademark registration policies virtually eliminate the threat of domain cybersquatting, foreign companies should take a proactive approach to securing domains that they foresee value in for future use in China, whether or not they have existing business interests or operations there. Can we go to the next slide, please? Great, thank you. These are some examples of famous Chinese and international brands that have registered .trademark domains, among which I'm sure most recognize at least a few. There are a few things I'd like to draw to everyone's attention here. First, you'll notice that the types of businesses shown here represent many major industries, including technology, finance, fashion, communications, automotive, and food and beverage, highlighting the fact that China's economy is as mature and diversified as any economies in the West. Secondly, you can see that businesses have registered .trademark domains in both English and Chinese, which reflects how the brand-conscious Chinese society is able to recognize foreign brands even though they may not understand English. For those companies that already have a strong business presence in China, you'll see that they've already brands by choosing Chinese names for their Chinese trademarks, such as BMW, Nokia, and Starbucks. And as Daniel was referring to before, companies should take diligence in doing those translations and actually researching the market that they're entering, in this case specifically China, because oftentimes there are brands that have Chinese names in China and the company actually hasn't even entered the country yet. So this is something to be focused on. Next slide, please. Thank you. In this slide are some examples of famous Chinese and foreign brands that today are already using their .trademark domains to point to their Chinese websites. As recognition of the .trademark domain in Chinese domain names grows, so will their usage in extensive internet applications that directly serve the Chinese market, including websites, email, online advertising, and digital marketing. It's not a matter of time. The matter is that the time is now. Next slide, please. Now, the .trademark domain registry has been investing heavily in the promotion, awareness, and usability of the .trademark domain. We believe that the value of the right online intellectual property strategy for a specific market is created from a partnership between us and the businesses that use .trademark. .trademark is much more than just another domain to be registered defensively and then locked away in a portfolio, never to be seen again. We are extremely active in the international intellectual property community and participate in trademark and IP associations and work groups such as INTA and the China Trademark Association. We also work extensively at the grassroots level to educate the public, government, and interest groups on the importance and benefits of protecting and promoting intellectual property rights online. Our vision extends far beyond just the needs of today and have been working on innovative ways to add more value to businesses and more protection to consumers through the development of technological solutions such as our official brand website authentication certificate, which each registrant of a .trademark domain can get as a value-added extension. Let's go to the next slide. So simply, how to register .商标 domains, .trademark domains. You can obviously contact Lexsynergy, and they can walk you through the quite easy process. For those brands or companies that are already participating in the trademark clearinghouse, they can immediately register the .trademark since Lexsynergy should already have their trademark information. They simply need to shoot that information over to Lexsynergy to begin the process. Next slide, please. So I'd like to thank everyone for your participation and interest in .trademark. We look forward to working with you alongside Lexsynergy to help you achieve success in all your business goals in China. Our website address naturally uses both Chinese and English domains, and although I'm quite certain most of you will prefer the English one, I welcome you if you have the opportunity to copy and paste our Chinese domain into your web browser and see in action how 1 billion people will be accessing the internet in the years to come. And now I'll hand it back over to Lexsynergy.
Great. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for that. Carrying on to what Alex said, I think it's very important generally to look at all the various IDNs that are out there. Obviously, the Chinese extensions are the most popular or the most widely used. In that respect, .com, which is managed by VeriSign, they've applied for translations in various languages of the .com extension. So it will be possible to eventually register your .com domain name in Chinese, Thai, Korean, Russian, Arabic, and Hebrew. And as you can see in the current slide, you can see how .com is written in these various languages. Having said that, one is upon our doorstep. Tomorrow, .com in Japanese launches, and this is launches during the sunrise phase. Now, the reason why this is so important is because .com is the most widely used extension. It's an extension that everyone understands. And if you have a .com yourself and it's the main point of contact in which clients engage with you via either a website or email, or in many other respects, .com is the main portal. Now, if you have not, or if you don't secure the Japanese version, this could cause some issues for the local market. And it does not necessarily mean Japan as a local market. It means people that obviously speak Japanese. So you could be based in the US, but have a large immigrant Japanese community where you're based, and .com in Japanese would be relevant to you. So you can register the Japanese name .com in Japanese or English .com in Japanese. So for this particular launch, I would advise all trademark owners that have a validated trademark with a trademark clearinghouse to register their domain name during the sunrise, the matching.com. We are a trademark clearinghouse agent, so if you have not validated your mark yet, we can still do that. Bearing in mind it is first come, first served, so if someone has a matching trademark in another jurisdiction, it will be possible for them to register that domain name during the sunrise, and then you won't have much option to recover that because they do have a trademark. So it's very important to get that in first. Then there's a priority program which starts on the 1st of February 2016 and ends on the 3rd of April 2016. What that is if you do have a .com extension but don't have a registered trademark, what that particular phase does is that allows you to register a matching .com in Japanese domain name. So if we have Lexsynergy.com, we can register Lexsynergy the Japanese version of .com. So that is also a phase that should be taken advantage of for maybe brands where you don't have a trademark or you have common law rights to. Then the land rush, that is a phase that's open to the general public, but the domain names will be sold at a premium price. So it'll be substantially more expensive than if it was open to the general public, like in the GA stage, which is the general availability, which starts on the 2nd of May. So as you can see, the various phases that you can participate in at each level to make sure that you are proactive and securing your particular mark within these new TLDs. So before I end this webinar with answering questions, what we are doing for quite a number of our clients is conducting or preparing a strategy report for IDNs, giving recommendations of which IDNs should be registered. We obviously don't provide a translation service, but identifying which core ones should be or are relevant to a particular business. So if you are interested in that, you can reach out to Marina or myself, and we'll we'll work that through with you, so you have some sort of strategy in how to tackle these IDNs rather than just ignoring them, as I previously mentioned at the beginning of the webinar. And then we can also help you with the .trademark in Chinese, as Alex spoke about in detail. So with that, I'd like to thank you for attending the webinar. If you do have questions, you can insert them into the Q&A function on the WebEx, and we can answer that. Otherwise, you can send us an email afterwards. Our contact details are listed here. These are mine, daniel@lexsynergy.com. You can also email marina@lexsynergy.com. Here's my UK details. We also have a US access number for those based in the US, and we'll be glad to assist you with any questions you may have regarding IDN. So Marina, I'm not too sure if there are any questions.
Looks like no questions at this time.
Okay, great. So hopefully we've covered all aspects of that. So if you do have any questions, once again, you can reach out to us and we will gladly assist you with that. Once again, thank you for attending this webinar.